So can I just elaborate a little bit on C-section scars and scar tissue and mobilisation and all that? Do you find that mums who've had a C-section have trouble connecting again with their TBA and that mind-muscle connection? And how does the scar tissue affect that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did put a video up once, shared from another video, where they showed how many layers.
Yes, I've seen a few.
Yeah, that they go through actually to then finally, get to baby.
Yeah.
And then all of those layers have to be stitched back up again. So you imagine the scar tissue that you see on the surface is not the only scar tissue. It then goes deep inside, and this is where you can get some people that have that kind of apron fold.
Yes.
Because it's puckered itself.
Interesting.
And that all can be loosened again. So if that scar tissue is entwined and it hasn't been loosened, then as you're healing, then that affects your nerves, because then the nerves will always try and regrow, and the muscles again are trying to connect again. But if that's not allowed, then some mums will say, well, I have numbness there.
Yeah.
So they might even just have numbness, on the surface, but that will affect what's happening underneath too. So that affects how they engage with their TVA here. So the earlier you can get onto a scar, the better. But again, it's never too late. My mum, so she ended up having 2 emergency sections, and she ended up with quite a big apron here. And one day she says to me, oh, I've been in the cupboard and I think I've got a hernia because I really hurt myself stretching up. And I said to her, well, let's just have a look. And when I looked, this scar tissue, imagine I'm 35 now, my brother's like 42. Yeah. It was actually so thick, and it was red and angry.
Still?
It's still red and angry. And I was like, Mum, what's this? It should be like a shiny white, it should be healed by now. But because there's so much tension there, and the blood is not able to flow, and the skin wasn't able to breathe, then all of this had tensioned and puckered in. So she ended up with this kind of ball in front with this shelf. So I did 1 session on her. She moaned after because she said it felt like she had period pain. So I guess, okay, well, it can hurt, or ache. But then after that, her everything just went flat. And just after 1 session, everything loosened here, and then went. As I say, the nature of scar tissue is that it's not extensible. It wants to tighten up, and so once you've had a section, you've got scar tissue. It's really important to keep on top of it. Maybe every 2 to 3 months, doing a bit of loosening yourself to that scar tissue, because in its nature is to tighten. So then when you try and stand out, that can affect how you can end up being like this with your posture. Or the pelvis can come forward. So I ended up having an emergency section through various reasons, and I was so disappointed because I thought, oh no, I know I've got to do this massage of the blasted scar now.
Yeah.
And it's training, and sometimes I don't know, and I don't know that it's tightening, but I know I need to do it, and I may feel like a twinge in my back, or I may feel like a twinge to the hips, and I think, you know what?
That's telling you? That's
telling me that this scar is probably getting tight, because the scar itself doesn't really tell you. It's everything around that gets tight that is kind of your indicator.